Now my gnomes have been having a great deal of fun fighting monsters and solving puzzles and doing skill checks, feats of daring do and such. But what I want to know is, where have they come from? How did they get together? What makes them tick? And a really nice free resource for coming up with character backgrounds is this quick character generation document from Basic Fantasy, which is of course free to download from the basicfantasy.org website. You can come up with your OSR ability scores, but what I'm looking at here is the character backgrounds. You can determine birth order, parent occupation, craft, and significant events, relatives, guardians, all that kind of stuff. I've mentioned this document before, but it's a very easy way of coming up with an idea. For instance, let's say parent occupation. Let's go for a D20. That's a 9. That is a craftsman or skilled worker. Roll on chart 2A, which is craft. So their parents are a 20, which is a roll twice. Okay, they're multi-skilled. 11 and 2, a brewer and a Fletcher. So that's, I guess, one of their parents is a Fletcher and one is a brewer. Just a little thing like that is really, really handy. But as we're working with Fantasy Age, I could just mention this quickly. Table Fables has a character background chart. So again, that's a D20. So that's a 17. You spent your younger years working in your mother's tavern. You learned to keep quiet and listen, using the gossip to your gain, and you are not unable to handle yourself in a bar fight. You established yourself as a tough character before you even left home. And a few other little details over the next couple of pages to even the kind of nose you have, which is nice. But we know that gnomes always have excellent noses. Now I rolled my backgrounds up in the basic rulebook of Fantasy Age, but the companion book does have other backgrounds that you can choose from. So if we look here, you can, following on from the sort of upper class, middle class and so on, there are background groups of different types, background descriptions. You can roll on the D6 charts here to give yourself even more options than are in the basic rulebook, and a description of each one, and it tells you what focus you'll start with, and of course focus is very important, giving you a +2 on skill checks. Now we have here Kai, Ferme and Polly. Kai is middle class and she is a student. Ferme is upper class and she is an official, and Polly is middle class and she is a scribe, which is very suitable for her magical background. Makes a lot of sense. So Kai's background is, rather than spend your life making goods, fixing them or selling them, you are one of the few wealthy, connected or smart enough to attend a university. As a student, you spend most of your time in classes or studying. At least that ought to be the case, but it's also entirely likely that you spent your time in other pursuits you find more interesting or enjoyable. Okay, now Polly is the scribe. Books, scrolls and portfolios are what you fill your time with. The greatest libraries, universities and scholars of your time require your services to do what they do, and they pay well for your services. Knowledge that no one ever sees isn't knowledge, it's a secret. When you get your hands on secrets, you commit them to books, then preserve and spread that knowledge across the world and through time. You may revel in the importance of your profession or despise it as an isolating, back-breaking task. Now, Ferme is an official, which says, your game is politics and you have risen to significant heights despite your non-noble birth. Perhaps it's your way with the masses or your ability to convince others of the wisdom of your ideas, but people tend to follow your lead. Okay, but she is a rogue, which makes you think. So having a sort of communication skill of 1, that doesn't lend itself to huge amounts of charisma and personality. But we shall see. We have those 3 backgrounds, and I've got to think about how they fit together. Well, this mixture of backgrounds makes me think that maybe Polly is slightly older than the other 2, and she was working at a university when Kai came to study there. I just kind of think maybe Kai is from Sargova, as our adventure is set in Mercia, which is the north of Sargova. Perhaps Kai travelled there to study at the university, and she met Polly, who was working there as a scribe in the university library. And Ferme is perhaps the daughter of some officials in the city where the university is, but she's also perhaps at the university or involved with the students because she's a bit of a political firebrand. Maybe she's going against her parents a little bit and sort of kicking back against them, maybe. And so perhaps she goes to the university to stir up the students against anything dodgy politically she feels is going on, anything that disagrees with her philosophy. And perhaps that's how they all met. So Polly worked as a scribe in the university library. Kai is a student who came from Sargova to study. Ferme is active politically with the students of the university. Perhaps she is a little older than Kai as well and is doing postgraduate studies. And perhaps our student crew here feel a similar way to the Adventurers Guild in that a lot of the political powers of Mercia are ignoring a lot of evil that's going on and a lot of corruption in the land. And our crew here feel just as the dwarves of the Green Mountains and the Church of Tar do. I may change that deity's name to something a little bit original, maybe. They feel the same, and that they have rallied to the Adventurers Guild's cause. Perhaps they're carrying on with their studies a little bit, but they're known to disappear and go on adventures to try and help the Adventurers Guild, as they did at the Ruined Keep, and became involved in the Pyramid of Chaos. So just taking your results from the background section in whatever game you're using, or if you want to download the basic fantasy backgrounds, you can put those backgrounds together and see if you can weave them together to make some kind of sense as to how your adventurers met. Or they could all have just met in a pub, well, these might have they are students after all. So it's a neat little way to give your little party a bit of cohesiveness and to explain why they're all together. And if you wanted to go with the Rory's Story Cubes route, this is the standard set. Now let's see what we can make of this. Okay, astrology maybe. Someone who comes up with bright ideas, a tinkerer perhaps, a gambler. That could work something. Yeah, they were on a journey together. Perhaps they were on a coach. They got the same coach on a trip from somewhere to somewhere, and they got lost. The coach got lost, or something happened, something mysterious happened. They were in the coach, and they suddenly found that the driver had disappeared mysteriously in a storm. They didn't see what went on, but they were in this coach, and now they have to find out where on earth they are and how to get to where they were going. So that could throw our astrologer, our gambler, and our tinkerer. Perhaps the tinkerer was taking some goods to their destination. Perhaps the gambler was on the run from someone they owed money to. And perhaps the astrologer just felt that the stars were right to make a move and travel to a new place to live. So that could throw 3 different characters together. Actually, quite like that. Like that idea. I might use that for another video. Okay, so that was just a little short video about character backgrounds and how you can mix them up and explain how they've all come together. I hope this video will be better quality than my last one. I was struggling for storage space on that and I had to compress it a bit, but I won't be doing that anymore. I shall be changing how I produce my videos, and this is the first one of those. So thank you very much for watching. Just a little thing about character backgrounds, and there will be more adventures soon, and I'll see you then.